Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny, and today it's time I let you in on a secret. I have been hinting to you guys for the past several months that there is a secret project coming, and today is the day that I get to tell you guys about it, and I am so excited. This has taken me months of preparation and other booktubers months of preparation, and so I am so stoked to see kind of the culminating events of this project. So what is it, you ask? Well, I am hosting a Battle of the Booktubers. That's right, I am going to pit 16 different booktubers against each other and see which of them is best at recommending books. That's one of our jobs as booktubers, is to help you guys find and seek out some amazing reads and cultivate your love of reading, and ours as well. And so I wanted to see who in the booktube community that we have around us is the best recommender. So how does this work? Well, there will be 4 rounds of 4 booktubers who will be competing to win their round and move on to a championship round where the ultimate recommender of books will be crowned. Throughout each of the rounds, the booktubers must recommend 2 books for each of their fellow competitors. And each competitor is responsible for reading those books, vlogging about those books, and then finally rating those books and sharing their thoughts. The booktuber who recommended those books will gain points depending on what ratings their recommendations receive. It's important to note that the recommendations have multipliers depending on whether or not they were the top recommendation or the second recommendation. The top recommendation will have a multiplier of 3, which means if a booktuber rates another booktuber's recommendation that was their first choice, their top recommendation, a 5-star, they will gain 15 points for that book. The second recommendations given by booktubers will receive a multiplier of 2, meaning that if a booktuber reads the second choice or the second recommendation of another booktuber and gives it a 2-star, then they will end up getting 4 points total. At the end of each round, all of their points are added together, and whoever has the highest score will move on to the championship round. Well, you might be thinking, where do you come into play, Danny? Well, I'll tell you that I am not competing myself. I am not going for the title of the best book recommender on BookTube. However, I am a means for the competitors to get more points. So each of the competitors had to recommend me 1 book. I will go through the same process of vlogging, telling you guys my thoughts, giving it a rating, and they will receive points for my ratings as well. You won't need to keep track of the points at home because I will be doing that for you as your host. As we go through the weeks, I will let you guys know who's gaining what points. However, you will not know which booktuber it is that's gaining the points. I will just give you a summary of the points that were gathered each week, but you won't know which booktuber or which competitor is in the lead. So what content can you guys expect from me and from our competitors throughout this competition? So throughout the month of June, you guys will have vlogs posted by each of the competitors on Tuesday of every week. I will let you guys know details and everything that you need to know in my sneak peeks of those vlogs that will be posted on Sunday prior to those vlogs being posted. In those sneak peeks, you can expect to see a summary of the previous week's scores, and you can also expect to see little sneak peeks of the vlogs that are posted this current week, and then also reminders of any dates that you guys need to be familiar with. There will also be a live show at the end of the month that we will be announcing the winner of round 1 and then giving you some information about when you can expect round 2. Throughout this competition, you all will also be active participants in the sense that you can vote on a wild card at the very end of all 4 rounds. I will remind you about this throughout the competition, but you need to be keeping in mind who you would like to compete in the championship round, because we will have 4 champions, 1 from each round, but then we will also have another wild card champion that you as our subscribers get to vote for. I know that was a lot of information to spew at you guys, so if you have any questions for me or if you don't understand exactly what's going on, let me know in the comments down below. I would be happy to answer any inquiries that you guys have. But the video's not over yet, because I wanted to introduce you guys to the competition. I have 4 lovely booktubers to introduce to you guys as our competitors for round 1 Battle of the Booktubers Who do you predict is going to win this round? Let me know in the comments down below. Please follow along from week to week and see if you think your predictions are coming true, if you change your mind halfway through. But before we get into all that, let's actually have the competitors introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Nell.Diamond, I'm 30 years old, and I'm a booktuber. My channel name is Nell.Diamond, often confused with Neil Diamond, but I promise there's no affiliation. I read pretty much everything for the most part. Like, there isn't any particular genre that I can think of that I don't read or purposefully go out of my way to avoid reading. You know, anything from nonfiction, romance, contemporary, horror, manga, you know, just kind of all over the board when it comes to my reading. I guess if I had to pick like my preferred books to read, it would definitely be rom-coms and mystery thrillers. In terms of the content on my channel, it's kind of a little bit of everything. Again, I have a couple of series that I do on my channel. I have the 5-Star Exchange series, which is where myself and other booktubers kind of exchange books that we've rated 5 stars with each other anonymously. I have the Read It or Watch It series, where I talk about films and series and the novels that they were adapted from and kind of compare them and tell you whether or not I think you should read it or watch it. I do reading vlog series that I started in 2024. I'm vlogging all of the new series that I'm starting this year, but I also do kind of, you know, all of the things that you would expect a booktuber to do, all the typical videos, the hauls, the TBRs, the wrap-ups, the tags, you know, other reading vlogs as well. I do reading and productivity sprints on my channel every Wednesday for Wind Down Wednesday. So, you know, we have our wine and our books and we read. I have some other things planned that will be coming later in the year, but I don't want to talk about those just yet, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned indeed. I have a feeling that throughout this competition, we are definitely going to need some Wind Down Wednesdays, so I think that sounds absolutely fantastic. On to the next competitor.
Hi everyone, my name is Katie. My channel is I Would Rather Be Reading. What you can find on my channel is usually a lot of chaos. I like to consider it like managed chaos, if that makes sense. But typically I do weekly reading sprints at least twice a week, typically on Fridays and on Sundays. I would love to have you come read with me if you're interested. And then I also try to do my best to upload at least one video a week, whether that's a sit-down video or a reading vlog. However, my reading vlogs I'm really still kind of getting used to, so those are not as frequent, but I'm trying. The books that I love to read are romance and fantasy, and then every now and again I like to throw in a thriller to mix things up, to try something different. But let's be completely honest, I do try to read anything I can get my hands on. I'm not super picky. There's definitely genres I avoid, but for the most part, if somebody recommends me a book, I'm going to try my best to pick it up.
Well, you signed up for the right game. I'm just kidding. She didn't actually sign up. I asked her and she very graciously agreed to participate in my shenanigans. Who's next?
Hi there, I'm Leandra the TBR0, and my favorite genre is mysteries, and that's why I'm gonna murder the competition. I'm not actually gonna murder anyone, I promise. As Leandra the TBR0, my own focus on my channel is to lessen my physical TBR one book at a time because it has gotten out of control. But I also host a lot of reading sprints. I've hosted a readathon, TBR-a-thon on my channel, and I have one probably forthcoming in October. We'll see what happens. But I also like to do a lot of vlogging. My Meet the Booktuber series is really popular, or at least it's fun for me to do it. I do TBR games on my channel too, where I pick a different booktuber every single month to highlight their TBR game, let everyone know that it exists, and then just play along and see what happens with my own TBR in the process. Basically, my favorite thing to do on BookTube is to collaborate, which is why Battle of the Booktuber honestly seems like such a fun time. I cannot wait to get this adventure going, and also to really like prove myself. I think I'm a good recommender. At least I hope I'm a good recommender. If not, I'm gonna do really bad in this competition. Speaking of competition, I have my eyes on you competitors. Katie, Nell, Lada, the others who I don't even know about yet. I'm watching you. I'm watching you. Like something that watches something in a really good way. I really told you, didn't I?
You told them, Leandra. Everybody's shaking in their boots. Man, things are really heating up. I wonder who we have next on our roster.
Hi, I'm Lotta, I'm 29 years old and I live in the Netherlands. To be honest, I'll read almost every genre, but fantasy romance is my absolute favorite. My content over at Lotta's New can be all over the place, but recently I've been really loving making vlogs that just feel really cozy and like you're just spending time with a friend. The one thing that is consistent on my channel is the 13 days of Halloween, which I do every year. It's the 13 days leading up to Halloween that I post a video every day, something Halloween related. It's always a lot of fun and yeah, I would love to see you there next October. Also, doing the 13 days of Halloween really awakened my love for horror and thriller. It isn't my most read genre, but I do really like it. But enough about me, let's get into the juicy stuff, the strategy.
Whoa, 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 I'm the host here. I'll tell you guys when we're gonna talk about strategy. I know who I have my eye on. Okay, I did ask them to actually talk about the strategy that they used for their game. So, okay, Lotta, go ahead, take it away.
Making these recommendations was extremely hard. I know I have a lot of books that I really love on my shelves, but it was really hard to try to figure out what is this person going to love. So I recommended a lot of books that I love that I hope they'll love as well. There was only one book that I recommended that I haven't read yet. I do have it on my shelves, but for this person I struggled a little bit more to get the right recommendation. Given the track record they had with this author, I think it's a perfect pick. So yeah, it was not easy at all. I looked through a lot of videos, I looked through Goodreads, I searched everywhere. So I really hope my recommendations are at least 4 stars, but 5 stars would be perfect, of course. Also, one thing that I was thinking a lot of was that you get minus points if you recommend a book that someone else also recommends. So that made it even trickier to pick recommendations, because some books would have been obvious, but I just wouldn't go for them because I thought maybe someone else will recommend them. So yeah, a lot of stress, but I got it done.
Stressful indeed. Lotta's looking out to keep her points in the bag. There are a couple of things that you should be aware of as far as the points go. As Lotta had stated, they can lose points for recommending a book that another competitor did recommend. They can also gain points by recommending an all-time favorite, and they do have some tiebreakers involved as well if we need them at the end of the competition. What about you, Leandra? What's your strategy?
How did I strategize? How did I prepare for this competition? Well, I pretty much digitally stalked all of my friends. I was on their YouTube, Goodreads, Storygraph, Instagram, as well as thoroughly read all of their competitor bios that they provided me. And that's all I really did. Before that, I do have some experience with these booktubers. I'm a bit fortunate. I know that in other rounds, some people are going in completely blind. So I guess I'm kind of lucky, but that doesn't make it any easier. So really, I went in preparing myself for feeling a bit confused, a bit scared, and excited all at the same time. The way that I selected my recommendations for my 3 competitors, as well as for Danni, may have been a risk. I'm going to admit that now, because the rational person would likely lean on books that they've read before because you know what to expect, you really enjoyed it, you think the other person's going to enjoy it as well. But I wanted to be a bit sneakier, as well as the fact that I realized the 3 competitors I have right now are people who are fans of genres that I don't tend to read. We've got fanro / romantasy, difference that I still don't understand, romance in general, like contemporary romance, and then thrillers. So I, as someone who reads mystery and is delving into sci-fi and horror, I'm just like, who are these people? So the risk I took is that most, if not all, of the books recommended to a certain competitor are ones that I haven't read before. We'll see if that pays off. I'm really hoping it does, but I honestly didn't know what else to do because I couldn't confidently recommend books from the genres that I like because they weren't necessarily mentioned in these competitor bios. So we're gonna see. I'm living life on the edge. Maybe I'm the bad girl of the Battle of the Booktubers. Yeah, a girl can dream.
The jury's still out on that one, Leandra. I'll let you know at the live show. However, I do like a risk taker, so I hope that strategy works out for you guys. One of the things I really did like about creating this competition is putting people together who don't necessarily have the same reading taste. And yeah, throwing in some curveballs every once in a while. I think it's going to be fun to see what other strategies people can use to figure out what recommendations work for each of their competitors. Let's see what other strategies Nell has.
My strategy for this competition has mainly been to just watch the videos that the other booktubers have posted, like the end of the year videos, like if they did like an end of the year tag, or if they did like a best and worst, to try to see like what their highest rated books were for 2023, and also their most anticipated books for 2024. That's pretty much the bulk of what I did, which isn't really much. I did look at their Goodreads just to make sure the books that I decided to recommend them weren't on their Goodreads list, so hopefully they haven't read them. I know personally my Goodreads list is not up to date at all. My strategy was do the bare minimum and hope for the best.
Well, at least she's honest. I hope that works out for you, Nell. Fingers crossed. It is definitely something that competitors could have done throughout this process, is look up their fellow competitors on Goodreads and on YouTube and watch their videos, stalk their prey, I guess, to figure out what recommendations they think would be best. Let's see if Katie tried anything different.
My strategy going into this game, top tier. No, basically, I did my best. I feel very fortunate because I do know some of these individuals, in my opinion, pretty well. The thing that was most challenging is that, like, I don't know Danni and Leandra's reading taste super well, if that makes sense. As humans, I totally love and adore them. However, I feel like we do read different books. And so I picked books that I really felt like would speak well to them based off what I know, but it could literally go any way, in my opinion. I'm so curious and so nervous to see how this turns out, if I'm being completely honest. So I would say that they were the hardest to choose for. And I did choose books that I've already read, mostly because I don't typically like to recommend books I haven't read, because I don't know what I'm marketing, if that makes sense. I don't know if somebody will really enjoy it because I don't have the source material, if that makes sense. So all the books that I recommended are books that I have read, books that I think people will enjoy, and I really tried my hardest to deep dive into their content and just think about them as humans. I'd like to say that I think I know people pretty well, and I can pinpoint books and things that I think people would really like. But we're going to find out. This challenge is going to either be wonderful and great for my ego, or it's going to be very humbling.
We'll find out together, I guess. That's an interesting strategy, to use people's personalities to figure out what books you've read that you think they might. So we'll see if it works out for Katie in the end. This is definitely something that is very difficult to do. Recommending books is always a risk, and so I'm glad I'm not competing. The last thing I asked competitors to do was tell me why they think that they're going to win, and then also to discuss who they think their biggest competition is. Let's see what the competitors had to say.
The easiest person that I had for recommending actually ended up being Lotta. I would not have expected that going into the competition, but I just realized that she and I have had a lot of recent favorites, so it gave me a good gist of what kind of reading era she was in. Meanwhile, the hardest person I had to recommend for, I thought it was going to be Nell, and it started off being Nell, but the person I kept being wishy-washy with in the end was Katie. I think it's because she really likes romantasy, contemporary romance, two things that I'm not as familiar with. I don't think I've ever technically read a book that is distinctly romantasy. So with her, I definitely had the most trouble, and I don't know, hers might end up being like a trash fire with my recommendations for her. So if it is, Katie, I really am sorry. Who is my biggest competitor, you ask? Well, it is Lotta from Lotta's Nook. Yes, she is the sweetest, kindest, most wholesome person you'll find on the internet, and I don't trust her. She is too kind, too sweet for her own good. We're all gonna underestimate her because we're all in love with her beautiful Dutch accent. Every time she calls me my leaf, I freaking melt. But you know what? This is lovers to enemies, Lotta. I got my eye on you. In all seriousness, the reason why I'm choosing Lotta is because I do have history with Nell and Katie in other readathons. I've seen their co-host recommendations, and I feel like I've interacted with them a little bit more in that type of environment, whereas Lotta, I can't anticipate what she's going to recommend, what she's going to think, and so that's why I am leaning towards Lotta in comparison to Katie and Nell. I promise I absolutely adore Lotta, and it's all fun and games, right? Unless she wants me to be her archenemy. I could be for that. I think I'm gonna win Battle of the Booktuber because I'm willing to take risks. I'm recommending books that no one's gonna assume that are from me, and I'm already seeing in the Discord some different assumptions, different predictions, and I already have people guessing, which I really like. So with that said, if you want to be a part of the bad girls of BookTube, do you want to see my villain story start? Well, you should back me, Leandra the TBR0, because like I said, I'm gonna murder the competition. No, seriously, I'm actually not gonna gonna murder anyone. Back Leandra, the TBR0.
Who knew that Leandra's villain origin story would start with a reading competition? Well, actually, that kind of tracks. Let's see what her arch nemesis has to say.
I'm keeping my eyes on Leandra. I really think she has the X factor. I think she can nail any book recommendation, so yeah. Well, as for me, you can call it luck, you can call it destiny, but I feel like I have a good chance. So yeah, get ready. Lotta's Nook is not an easy, chill booktube account anymore. It is a battlefield.
Interesting. Lotta and Leandra are gonna duke it out on the battlefield. Best of the booktubers will win. Let's see if their competitors have anything to say about that.
I feel like my biggest competitor is Leandra. And I feel this way because I think Leandra's really quiet because she's such a good listener. So she's constantly like listening to everything that everybody else says, whether it's them talking about books they liked or didn't like. And so I feel like she's got all this information she can use against us. Silent, but a strong competitor, if that makes sense. So I love Leandra. She's like the sweetest human ever, but I've got my eye on you, Leandra. I've got my eye on you. Why I think I'm gonna win? I think I picked amazing books, to be honest. I think the books I chose speak for themselves. They're amazing, hard hitters, books that will stay with you in my opinion. But also, I'm really competitive. So I play to win. Second place is the first loser. I'm totally kidding. Let's be honest. I know I'm supposed to like really psych myself up here and all that good stuff. And I do hope I win. I really, really do. But in all seriousness, sorry, Danny. I just have to say that I'm just thankful to be included. I'm so excited to get to do this with all of my wonderful friends, but also getting to meet new people and getting to try new books. And so regardless of whether I win or not, which I better stinking win if I don't, what a fun experience I get to have. And I know I'm just going to have such good memories, such good times. And so you can't really lose that way, is what a loser would say, which won't be me. Bye.
Well, okay then. I do like the confidence. I hope it works out for you, Katie. I do really hope that everyone has a lot of fun with this, regardless of whether or not they win or they lose. We'll see. It's all fun and games, right? As long as we're enjoying what we're reading, we're having a good time. Let's see what Nell has to say.
Can you tell us why you think you're going to win? Why do I think I'm gonna win? Who said that I thought I was gonna win? I didn't sign up for this with the expectation that I was gonna win anything. I just signed up for it because it sounded fun. I definitely think that I am at a disadvantage compared to the other booktubers because I have not been reading as long as the other booktubers have. So I don't have as many books to choose from to recommend to people unless I'm recommending books that I haven't read. Which in that case, it's hard for me to say like, oh yeah, you should totally read this book that I have no idea if it's good or not. A lot of the books that I recommended were books that I hadn't even read yet. So I'll be getting recommendations from them. Like they'll be reading these books and then telling me whether or not I should take them off my TBR. My biggest competition. It's hard to say, honestly. I think that they're all going to be like good competitors for different reasons. I think that Leandra works at a library, I'm pretty sure. So her knowledge and access to books is, you know, very extensive, I would imagine. She's been reading for a long time. She reads a variety of genres. She also, I think, is a professor. And Lotta is kind of a wild card because I don't know as much about her. So she's definitely one to watch. She's the one that'll sneak up on you. She's the one that'll surprise you. So I don't really know what to expect from Lotta. So you have that. And then you have Katie, who, if I had to pick someone out of the three that I think is the biggest competitor, I would maybe say Katie, because I think that she reads a lot of books and she also reads a lot of popular books. So she definitely has like her finger on the pulse of what's happening, what's popular, you know, what people will like and stuff like that. Katie's definitely very observant and she has a good memory. And when she doesn't have a good memory, she has written stuff down and she has like a notebook where she has like everyone's birthdays, like all these different things. So I wouldn't be surprised if Katie has been gathering intelligence for this project for a long time without people even realizing it. They're all gonna be pretty stiff competition for different reasons. I'm just here to have fun and read books. I'm really grateful to Danny for giving me this opportunity to be able to even participate. Like, I'm so grateful to her that she thought of me and that she asked me to, you know, be a part of this project. I think this is gonna be a lot of fun. And may the best booktuber win.
Well said, Nell. I think that is the perfect segue into the conclusion of this video. I do want to thank all of the participants in this competition and all of our viewers as well as we go through this process together and hopefully have a lot of fun. I can't wait to see who is crowned the winner in the end. So don't forget to stay tuned for our weekly sneak peeks, our weekly vlogs, and our live show at the end of the month. Until next week when the battle begins, happy reading.